She is. We know Caitlin Clark from basically everything she has said. And I've said, man, boy, if it was me, she would be the president of the Players Union. I wouldn't think twice about it. Because you can tell, yeah, she wants a fair deal, but she also wants to play basketball. And she has handled this whole thing with an immense amount of class that we haven't seen out of hardly anybody involving these talks.
That's not just confidence. That's strategic pressure. Caitlin Clark just went on Instagram and posted herself signing autographs for a massive crowd of fans with a caption that said, "It's time to get back to a lot of this." And if you think that's just an innocent post about missing basketball, you're not paying attention. Because right now, the WNBA and the Players Association are in a complete stalemate over the new collective bargaining agreement. No deal means no season. And Clark just reminded everyone exactly what's at stake.
So, right here, there is still no collective bargaining agreement as the league and the Players Association remain in a stalemate. And with each passing day, the possibility of the season being delayed or even being put in jeopardy altogether becomes more real. This is not something Clark wants, and her recent public statements have served to apply some subtle pressure to get the deal done. When Clark made...
Here's what makes this move so calculated. While other players in the union are out here talking about what they deserve, what's fair, what's owed to them, Clark keeps bringing it back to one thing: playing basketball. Not the money, not the ego, the actual game. And that Instagram post, that wasn't aimed at the league or the union leadership. That was aimed at the fans. She's reminding everyone that this stalemate isn't just about contracts and revenue splits. It's about those people in that video who showed up to see her play. The ones who bought tickets, who tuned in, who made the 2024 season the most watched in WNBA history.
The other night, she was asked about CBA, and it was a statement that was still very... We've got to play some ball, which is a twofold in a sense, since the new CBA could lead to transformative salary structure, given how significant it is for all involved to keep the momentum built for the last couple of years. So it shouldn't be taken lightly that Clark put her confidence in resolution out on the air. Quote, "I feel very confident that we're going to get something done, and that's because we're in this moment because of the product we put on the floor. So we need to continue to do that."
Now let's talk about what happened on NBC. January 26th, 2025. Basketball night in America. The Knicks versus the Lakers. Caitlin Clark made her broadcasting debut on the pregame show, standing between two NBA legends, and the numbers were absolutely massive. 4.5 million viewers tuned in. That's a record for NBC's NBA coverage. Not just for this season, a record going back years. And NBC's president of sports, Rick Cordella, came out immediately after and said Clark checked every box they hoped for. But here's the question nobody's asking. How many of those 4.5 million people actually stuck around for the game? Because that pregame show was the hook. Clark was the draw, and I'd bet money that a significant portion of those viewers tuned in specifically to see her, then turned it off once the actual NBA game started. NBC knows this. They're not stupid. They just saw what Caitlin Clark can do for their ratings, and they're already planning her next appearance for March.
I really do feel confident that both sides are going to reach a deal here soon. Again, there's a certain way to handle this kind of thing, right? So, this was put up on social media right here, and I've got no idea who this person is, but for whatever reason, I'm blocked. I mean, really? All the pro Caitlin Clark content I make, and I'm blocked. Oh, I hurt somebody's widow feelings. Anyway, too bad. So,
watch how she frames this. I feel very confident we're going to get something done, and that's because we're in this moment because of the product we put on the floor. So we need to continue to do that. Need to continue to play basketball. That's not just optimism. That's a reminder. She's telling both sides, you're negotiating over something valuable because we made it valuable by playing. And if you don't get this done, all that value disappears. This is the kind of messaging the Players Association should have been using from day one. Instead, we've gotten a lot of demands and very little acknowledgement of the bigger picture. Clark understands something fundamental that seems lost on everyone else involved in these talks. None of this matters if they don't play basketball. The momentum from last season, the new fans, the media attention, the sponsor interest, all of it evaporates if the season gets delayed or canceled.
What does that tell you right there? It's time to get back to a lot of this. So once again, putting some pressure that her focus. You notice how many of these people, players in the Players Union, they don't bring up actually playing that much. All right, they don't. It's a whole lot of we want what's fair, what's coming to us, blah blah blah, with a lot of ego involved.
Here's what's remarkable about her approach. She's not out here trashing the league. She's not calling out specific people. She's not making threats. She's just consistently, repeatedly bringing the focus back to the game itself. And that Instagram post is the perfect example. No caption about contracts. No statement about negotiations. Just, it's time to get back to a lot of this, with a video of her connecting with fans. That's pressure without being confrontational. That's leverage without being aggressive. And it's working. Because now the conversation isn't just about what the players want versus what the league is willing to give. It's about what happens if they can't figure this out. It's about those fans in that video who might not have a season to watch. It's about whether all the progress from 2024 was just a one-year spike or the beginning of something sustainable.
A lot of it's had bad attitudes involved too. Not here. Not here. This is why she's such a good representative for the league, and why so many fans that wouldn't normally watch this league and pay attention to it, her attitude is exactly why people have chosen to tune in. So, according to NBC Sports President Rick Cordella, Clark's performance checked every box the network hoped for. The appearance was not treated as a one-off moment, but rather a glimpse into what her future in sports media could look like. She's going to be a massive star.
Let's talk about the NBC opportunity for a second, because this is significant beyond just one broadcast appearance. Rick Cordella specifically said Clark's performance wasn't treated as a one-off moment. He said it was a glimpse into what her future in sports media could look like. NBC views her as a long-term investment. They saw how she handled herself standing next to Reggie Miller and another NBA legend, both of them 6'5" or 6'6", and she's 5'11", and she held her own. She knew the game, she communicated clearly. She was comfortable in a setting that would make most professional athletes nervous. And here's what that means for the CBA negotiations. Caitlin Clark has options. If the WNBA season doesn't happen, she's not sitting at home waiting. NBC just showed her exactly what her value is in a different arena. That's not a threat, that's just reality. She can play basketball, or she can build a media career, or she can do both. But the WNBA only gets one of those options. They only benefit if she's on the court.
Clearly views her as a natural fit in front of the camera and someone worth investing in long term. Rick Cordella spoke positively about Clark's debut, noting that she did a good job and handled the role with ease. He highlighted her understanding of the game and her ability to communicate clearly, two qualities that translate well from the court to the broadcast booth. Cordella also made it clear that Clark was well prepared and comfortable in the setting, something that stood out given the size of the audience and the spotlight that comes with an NBA national broadcast. And like I said, it got 4.5 million.
Now contrast Clark's approach with what we've seen from other players and union representatives during these negotiations. A lot of the public messaging has been about demands, about what's owed, about what's fair based on revenue growth. And look, those are legitimate arguments. The players absolutely deserve a larger share of the revenue they're generating. But the way that message has been delivered has often felt confrontational, sometimes even entitled. There's been very little acknowledgement of the partnership aspect of this relationship. Very little recognition that the league and the players need each other. Clark gets that. Every public statement she's made about the CBA has included this element of, we need to play basketball. Not, they need to pay us. Not, we deserve this. Just, we need to get back on the court. That framing matters, because it reminds everyone that the ultimate goal isn't winning a negotiation, it's playing a season. And the longer these talks drag on, without a deal, the more likely it becomes that the 2025 season gets disrupted or delayed.
Okay. I mean, it's Steph Curry, Luka, Larry Bird. I mean, what in the world? You played around Larry, for crying out loud. Are you blind? Anyway, yeah, it's kind of remarkable, but she was really good, and she held her own, even as awkward as, statue, super tall statue, her short at 5. Well, not even short. She's tall for a lady, but both those guys are like probably 6'5" or 6'6", and she's 5'11" or something like that. So, but did a fantastic job. Fantastic job. Caitlin Clark wants to play basketball. And I think sports fans ought to start saying that instead of WNBA fans. Sports fans want to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. Let's make sure we, over and beyond the regular WNBA fandom, regular sports fans, which is what the league needs, wants to watch her play ball. Tell me what you think. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube, what are you doing? Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Here's what makes Caitlin Clark such an effective voice in this situation. She's not the president of the Players Association. She's not leading the negotiations. She's not the one sitting across the table from league executives making demands. But she has more influence than almost anyone else involved in these talks, and she's using it strategically. That Instagram post reached millions of people instantly. Her comments on NBC were heard by 4.5 million viewers. When she says she's confident a deal will get done, that creates expectation. That creates pressure on both sides to actually get it done. And think about her position here. She's the biggest draw in the league. The ratings prove it. The attendance numbers prove it. The merchandise sales prove it. She could easily use this moment to make demands, to leverage her value for personal gain. Instead, she's using her platform to push for a resolution that benefits everyone. She wants to play. She wants her teammates to play. She wants the fans to have a season to watch. That's not naivety. That's understanding the long game. Because here's the thing about momentum in sports. It's incredibly hard to build and incredibly easy to lose. The WNBA spent decades trying to grow its audience, and it finally broke through in Caitlin Clark was a massive part of that breakthrough. Angel Reese was part of it. The rookie class was part of it. The playoff intensity was part of it. But if the 2025 season doesn't happen, or if it starts late, or if it's shortened, all of that momentum is at risk. The casual fans who started paying attention last year might not come back. The media coverage might dry up. The sponsor interest might cool off. Clark understands this better than anyone. She's lived it. She saw what happened when she joined the league. She watched the attendance double at Fever games. She saw the TV ratings spike whenever she played. She experienced firsthand what happens when casual sports fans suddenly care about the WNBA. And she knows that interest is fragile, it needs to be nurtured, it needs to be sustained. And that only happens if they play basketball. So when she posts that video of herself signing autographs with the caption, "It's time to get back to a lot of this," she's not just expressing a personal desire to play. She's reminding everyone what's at stake. Those fans in that video represent the growth the league has experienced. They represent the future. And they're waiting to see if the WNBA and the Players Association can get their act together and give them a season to watch. The NBC appearance adds another layer to this, because it shows that Caitlin Clark's value extends beyond just playing basketball. She's marketable as a media personality, she's comfortable on camera, She can analyze the game, she can connect with an audience, and NBC clearly sees that value, which is why they're already planning her next appearance for March. But here's the key. NBC benefits whether the WNBA season happens or not. They can put Clark on their NBA broadcasts regardless. The WNBA doesn't have that luxury. They need her on the court, in a Fever uniform, playing games that people want to watch. That's leverage, and Clark is using it. But she's using it in the most diplomatic way possible. She's not threatening to sit out, she's not making ultimatums, she's just consistently, publicly expressing confidence that a deal will get done and emphasizing the importance of playing basketball. That puts pressure on both sides without alienating either one. It reminds the league that their biggest star wants to play, which means they need to make a deal that keeps the players happy. And it reminds the Players Association that their biggest star is focused on getting back on the court, which means they need to be realistic about what's achievable in these negotiations. The contrast with how other players have approached this is striking. We've seen a lot of public statements about what players deserve, about revenue sharing percentages, about the gap between WNBA salaries and NBA salaries, and those are all valid points. But they don't create the same kind of pressure that Clark's approach creates. Because when you frame it as "we deserve more," you're setting up an adversarial negotiation. When you frame it as "we need to play basketball," you're reminding everyone of the shared goal. And let's be honest, Caitlin Clark has handled this entire situation with a level of class and maturity that we haven't seen from hardly anyone else involved. She's been respectful to the league. She's been supportive of her fellow players. She's been gracious with the media. She's acknowledged the growth the league has experienced while also pushing for progress. That's a difficult balance to strike, especially for someone who's only been in the league for one season. But she's managed it consistently. So what happens next? The CBA talks are ongoing. Both sides are still at the table, and every day that passes without a deal increases the risk that the season gets disrupted. But if there's one person who might actually help push this toward a resolution, it's Caitlin Clark. Not because she's leading the negotiations, but because she's using her platform to remind everyone what's actually important here. Not the egos, not the posturing, not winning the negotiation, playing basketball, giving the fans a season, maintaining the momentum the league has built. That Instagram post wasn't just about missing the game, it was a strategic move to apply pressure without being confrontational. And combined with her comments on NBC about being confident a deal will get done, it creates a narrative that both sides now have to respond to. The biggest star in the league is publicly expressing optimism and emphasizing the need to play. That makes it harder for either side to be seen as the obstacle if these talks fall apart. So is Caitlin Clark applying pressure on the CBA negotiations? Absolutely. Is she doing it in a way that's effective without being divisive? Yes. And is she the kind of voice the league needs right now? Someone who can speak to the importance of the moment without losing sight of what actually matters. Without question. Because at the end of the day, none of this means anything if they don't play basketball. And she's the only person consistently bringing the conversation back to that fundamental truth. The question now is whether the league and the Players Association are actually listening. Because if they let this drag on much longer, they risk losing everything they built, and that would be a tragedy not just for the players or the league executives, but for those fans in that video Caitlin Clark posted. The ones who showed up. The ones who care. The ones who are waiting to see if the WNBA can actually capitalize on this moment, or if they're going to let it slip away over a negotiation that should have been resolved weeks ago. What do you think? Is Clark's approach the right way to handle this? Or should she be more aggressive in pushing for what the players want? And do you believe these CBA talks actually get resolved before the season is supposed to start? Or are we heading for a delay? Let me know in the comment. And if you want more WNBA coverage that breaks down what's actually happening beyond the headlines, hit that subscribe button. Because this story is far from over.